Hi everybody, it's Anne Lewis, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia. Tonight I'm going to be showing you same design, three completely different cards. I think you're going to be amazed because I love this design and then I realized I could use it three different ways. So let's throw you down to my desk. Hold on. Here we go. So they're all the same design, but what is different is how I've done the final cutout or added some layers. So this one is probably one of my favorite card designs ever. And you'll be amazed how easy all these cards come together. This is number two, so card number one, card number two, and whilst these look the same, they're actually not the same. Card number three, and this one I've made I could put a gift card in there. So they're the three cards. Now I want to show you the products that I selected for tonight. Now I know that some of you are going to craft along with me, and so I am using the Joyful Days Memory and More pack. And I'll give you a look at that in a second, what those cards actually look like. But you can use your own designer series paper. You can pick what matches, because this design basically goes with any of the designer series papers that actually match. Now, I'm just going to set this up again. Wait a minute. I just got to turn another light on. It was a bit too bright before. That's a little better. And hi, Lynette, how are you? Welcome, everybody. It's really good to be here, and it's a big week for Stamping Up. So, whilst I wait for a few more to come along, today is the second last week in October. So, Stamping Up has a couple of really big specials happening at the moment. The first one is a starter kit offer. Now, I'll just get these out of the way so you can actually see what I'm talking about. And we've got two starter kit offers. Now, I've got to say, most are taking this offer, $235 worth of products for only $60. Now, the amazing thing about that is there's no obligation to it. So it's not like you have to return stuff as something, if your life circumstances change or anything. This is just a great offer so that you can see what Stamping Up is all about, and you get to decide how you want to be a demonstrator. The other offer, as you see for this one, is $169, which is the normal price for a starter kit. But this time you get $344, which normally it's only $235. This is, I have to say, I think the best offer that I've seen since I've been with Stamping Up, and that's 13 years. And I've got to say, wish I had this offer when I signed up. And remember, you get to be the demonstrator you want to be. You don't have to do classes. You get to choose what you actually want to do or how you want to do it. Now, that's offer number one that I want to talk to you about. Offer number two is equally amazing. Free shipping for today, tomorrow, and the next day, so up till Friday. So free shipping for all orders over $65. I mean, that's another amazing offer. You already get free shipping on your starter kit, but if you did join up, your first order, if you put it in the next 3 days, would also be free shipping. I've got a few basics that I'm going to put in, and I've got a couple of things that were on my luxury list that will go in as well. Now, also, I have a charity day because my community puts together, creates Christmas cards for Meals on Wheels. And I need a little bit more help this month. So if you're already coming, find some friends, neighbours, colleagues, who might come along. You don't have to have any experience. My cards that I've made are very, very simple. So the first one is this one. They're really cute this year. So much cuter than last year, I think. Look at this one. This is my favourite. They're really simple. You can be a beginner, and we had lots of beginners last year that made fabulous cards. It's number 3. Number 4 is this one. So you can see I've kept them simple. And this is number 5. It's probably one of my favourites as well. So if you are interested and you live around the Sunshine Coast or even in Brisbane, please join up because I need some help. Righto, let's come back to these cards here. Let's get on with crafting together. Now, I'd like to say welcome everybody. Sharon, Jeanette, Myrtle and Glenda. And Kiko's being good at this stage. I think she's fast asleep in the lounge. So let's get started. You will see how quick and easy these projects are. Now I'll leave this one here because it's my first one, but I wanted to show you, it's 54 cards in the, I'm just going back to the Joyful Days, Memories and More card packs, and they're multiples of these. I love these, and they are, gotta say, I think they're masculine colours. So it was really easy for me to use them. And you don't need sentiments for a lot of them. I'm using that one tonight. Now these cards are 3 by 4. And then they also have a 6 by 4. Wait a minute. So they're also good for scrapbooking. I love, love, love these. And you're going to see how simply I use these cards tonight. Rightio, so let's go with this card first. I don't want to get confused because you know how my desk truly swallows up craft supplies. I don't know how it does it, but it does. Hi, Julianne. Hi, Gail. Rightio, so I'll just spread these out a little bit. And hopefully I'm not going to get to, not going to lose anything tonight. But you know it's going to happen because it happens every week. Rightio. So if you're crafting along or if you're catching up on replay, I've got a standard card base. I'll grab my trimmer. So I used it a fair bit tonight. So my standard card base is 5.5 inches by, 5.5 inches by 8.25. Now, if you're in Australia, that is the width of an A4 sheet. Then I'm going to score it at 4 1/8. Now that just makes that fold in the centre. Don't use my cutter. Just nice and neat and tidy. Not putting my trimmer too far away. Grab a bone folder, reinforce that fold. So it looks like I'm a professional, which I am. Rightio. So there's my card base. Now, so my next thing that I'm going to do, so that's the first one, I'm going to cut to the score line 1 1/8 inch on either side. So this is where the trimmer makes it really simple. So once you've cut this piece, you're going to open it up. And I always work on the right side for the first one. I'm cutting, and you can't see it down here. Wait a minute. I'm cutting from the bottom because that's the side I want. But I could equally slide it up to the top. So I'm cutting at 1 1/8 only up to that score line, no further. And Stamping Up make it really simple because I don't know whether you know this. I know some of you haven't picked this up. Rightio. So on our trimmer, on the edge here and also here, there's these little marks. So if you cut to where that mark is, that's where it stops cutting. So it's a really handy guide. Let's throw this back in. A minute. Slide this down just a bit so you can see it. So I'm doing 1 1/8, and I'm cutting only up to the score line. Right? Then I'm turning it around. Then this time I'll go up the top 1 1/8 inch on the other side, just down to the score line. And as I said, that little mark on the side of the actual blade is perfect. Now, I want to take this piece out. So I'm going to slide it back in, line up that score line with the cutting track here, right? And I'm only going to cut between those two, between the, I've got a little message on my computer which does not help. Between there and there. So I'm leaving these sides attached. I'm just removing this piece here. So I'm just going to line this up, because you know me, I can't see because I've got cameras in the way. Hopefully I got that right. And then that piece will pull apart. Obviously I went a little past, but we won't notice that. Where's a pair of scissors? Here. I'll just trim this up so it looks a little neater. Righto. So that's what we now have. Basically, all we have, we're going to put this aside. Do not throw that away. I might just trim that up just a bit. It's just got the score line on it, so I might neaten it up. All right. That works. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, so I've done what's on this list. I'm going to put that over. Let's just put it there so you can still see it. Then my next piece is I'm using card, but you can use designer series paper. It works the same. So your first contrast, which is the ones I've got down here, are going to be cut at 7/8 of an inch. Now, there's a quicker way to do this if you're using DSP, but you'll understand it if I do this. So all I'm doing, because I'm going to have this pattern up, so you pick your pattern that you're going to put down the side. I always think stripes work better, but you can put whatever you like, whatever matches or whatever you've picked. Now I need, where is this? I need them cut to 3 7/8. Remember I said that this was 4 inches, so I've just got to cut off 1/8 of an inch. Now if you're using DSP, you'd cut to the size that I just gave you, which was 3 7/8 by 7/8. But because I already, I don't know, it's this one I have to cut. I don't know. So we're not going to keep those two pieces. But I do keep most of my pieces in this because I use it somewhere else. Let's bring this back, grab some adhesive. It's pretty quick and easy, this. You don't want too much glue, and you go and laugh at me because you say not too much glue, but look how much look what I just did. Wasn't concentrating, was I? I should have been putting it on the designer series paper. Anyway, this will still work. And I always have a fix. I know. Saved it. I don't. Now this piece, I don't, back. Sorry, I got a phone and I cut it out. Rightio. So the next piece I'm using the other side, and I'm going to cut the trees out so it suits me. 3 7/8 by 3 inches. Now this piece is the piece that goes across there. Who would have guessed? It doesn't look like that. I'm going to have to trim this down just a smidgen. Get it a little neater. You don't want all those furry edges. Rightio. So we're going to go there. Who would have guessed that piece that sat there is going to go across there? So I'm just going to put that aside, and we're going to cut this to 3 7/8 by 3 inches. So it's 3 inches high. Now I trimmed a little bit off the top. Now you don't have to do this. It's just that mine's a bit of a scene. And so I need it 3 inches. So I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom. Keep this piece. I'm going to use, sorry. Knocked you about a bit. And then I need 3 7/8 inches wide. Now I can pick how I want to trim that, and I'll keep that piece as well. And then all I'm going to do is stick that on there. How easy is this card? You're not wasting anything. No, so we'll put that there. Now I want to stick that on there. So in the middle, center, left and right, top and bottom. So I just want to add a little bit of adhesive on the ends. Are you keeping up? Let me know if I'm going too fast. I know, so I'm going to turn this over and just place it right in the middle. Now, so I've still got the sentiment to do, but let's put the basic white cardstock, which is going to be 4 1/8 by 3 7/8 inches. So let's cut that. So I'll just say, leave that. Where's that? Where did that go? Here. So you can see what I'm doing. 5 1/4 by 3 7/8. So I think I've got the 5 1/4, but I'll have to check that. I may not. Let's check if I've got the 5 1/4. Yep, it's cut right. Oh, so then that's just going to sit in here. Let's see what I did on the inside. So this little piece that was left over is actually going to sit there, just to give it a decoration. It's nice to use. I'll put this here. This time I mean to put it onto the cardstock, so I don't have glue on the back when I cut it off. So we'll run that down there. Then I can just turn this over, trim it off. I'll stamp it. And my stamp is just going to be Merry Christmas. Now, that Merry Christmas, I used a selection of my stamps, is Merry Christmas from the Long Time No See. It's this really cute one with a dash hound and a llama. And I love the sentiments in it, so I've been using that a fair bit. So I'm just doing this in Mossy Meadow, simple stamping. You can see there's not too much complexity about this. You could zip up a few of these. I know. I don't just need to grab my chamois. I've got a little bit of ink on this. Don't want to get it everywhere. Who else uses their chamois? Or do you use your stamping scrub? Rightio. So there we go. Got that done. Then I've only got one more. One more little sentiment on the front. I'll just show you what it looks like. You can see how nice it looks once I put that white layer behind it. And this time I'm going to be using the stamp, probably my favourite stamp this year, is Peace on Earth, which is an online exclusive. Comes with that beautiful Secret Sea designer series paper. But I love, love, love this. And it also comes with some matching dies. Oops. No, I do want it in. I mentioned Secret Sea and off I went, my head. Okay, so let's just stamp this. So I'm using the Mossy Meadow again. No, that. Now I'm going to trim this off with my trimmer. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting that there. Then this little strip I had was a little bit too big. So it was just a scrap that I had left over. Lots of scraps on my desk. So let's trim that off. I think I need, that'll do. Perfect. And that side's just a little bigger. I'll trim that off as well. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up with some mini glue dots. Actually, I need to cut that down just a smidgen. Sometimes I have the right size strips. This time I just didn't. I'll just take a little bit more off. That's better. And I picked, now I could have put a circle, I could have put a rectangle or whatever, but I felt that this design just made it look a bit more special. I'm going to be using some of my mini dimensionals to pop this up. So what do you think of card? So Glenda uses her chamois. So do you like card 1 and how simple was that? Let's do this how I would normally do it. I will pop this down. Now, if it was a smaller sentiment, I'd put it over to the right. Because it's quite a large one, I'm going to just place it in the centre. Card done. So how easy was that? So I'm going to pack up my goodies for that one so it doesn't get confused. And I'll leave that there. As always, put my lid on my adhesive. Okay, so number 2 is this one here. So now, I'll just show you the card that I just did. This one, I've cut out the centre and it pops up like that. The next one, what I've done is cut out the sides and it just leaves this a little easy, simple card. So let's find the goodies for this one. My card base, again, is this time I've used cherry cobbler, but I'm going to cut it down to the standard card base size, which is A4 size in width. So it's 8 1/4 wide, and I'm cutting it down to 5 1/2. Going to score it again. All my measurements are basically the same. The last card, it changes just a little bit, but you'll see you don't have to think too much when you do these 3 different cards, and they would make a really nice set of cards to give to somebody. And mascon cards using these are sometimes really, really hard to do. Now, so let's come over here. So I'm using 2 cards from the Memories and More kit. The first one is this one, and this is the second one. Okay, as you can see, this time I'm again going to cut 1 1/8 inch in on the side. Let's do it up here because you can see that a little better. So I'm just going up to the score line, no further. And then I'm going to flip it around, do 1 1/8 inch again. So I said it's the same design. I just choose which ones I'm going to take out. Now, on the last one, I took this piece out. This time, I'm taking the side pieces out. I'm just double checking because, yep, that's what I did. So I'll turn this around, and this time I have to cut 2 pieces, the one from each side. So I line it up. This time, let's see if I can get that a little better than I did last time. pick it up, so let's card it over and come from the other side. Okay. I do. So now I have, this is the shape I've got. So it's the reverse of the previous one. Now, where's my nice, gorgeous card? So this actually sits right here, but it's slightly too big. So it's the right size this way. So it's 3 inches, which is what I want it to be. But it needs to be 3 7/8. So it's this piece, if you're using designer series paper, is 3 7/8 inches by 3 inches by 3 7/8 inches. So easy as I can stick this down. So I said it's not difficult, this. Now, I could have used this bit as well, but I decided I wanted it. I wanted it a little bit fancier. Nearly had to change up my design. I don't. They're all easy, Marianne. I thought we're getting to that stage where we need to make easy cards. Anyway, so how nice is that? And they're such masculine cards. Now for this one, I'm cutting, that's not the right piece, side strips. So I'm going to cut the side strips out of here. So they're 7/8 of an inch wide by 3 7/8. Now, because I'm going to save this piece for something else, and I don't know what side I'm going to use, I'm going to cut the sides off first. So 7/8 off that side. Now, because this has that really nice white on it, I'm going to do either end. But you don't have to do that if you're using designer series paper. It just works better for this design. Now, so all I have to do is stick these down. Now, I like putting the green at the bottom. That's just me. See how easy this is? Now, you can use your own stamps for your... Did I cut that off? No, I didn't. Yeah, so I'm going to regret this. I didn't cut it down to 3 7/8. So I'll give that a quick zing. I'll have to clean my trimmer later because I'll have glue on it. Anyway, this is what happens when you're thinking of 1,000 things and reading comments. So I'll cut this off. So it comes back to 3 7/8. Hi, Felicity. Welcome. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, let's go. So already you can see most of the card has come together. And those top and bottom line up nicely. I've got a bit of glue on let's get rid of that before it makes a mess. So there we go. Now, I just want to add on the front here, this stamp. Now, it comes from, I've hidden it somewhere. Where does it come from? The Sign Design stamp set. This comes with a punch, which is really good when you're zipping out Christmas cards. I mean, dies are nice, but you don't want to cut 100 of them. So these you can go bang, 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 bang. A lot easier, a lot quicker. So this time I'm using cherry cobbler ink on some basic white. Here's a piece of scrap paper that's sitting on my desk somewhere. Oh, we'll probably sit here. Okay. Let's line this up. Close this up for the moment because you know me. I'll put my fingers in it, easy as. And here's the punch, which punches this shape out really well. It's an unusual shape, and that's why I liked it on the front here. It's a busy pattern, so I don't need lots on the front. You can see how nicely that punches. And if you're not used to our punches, when you're punching, you're not using this side. It's easy to line it up on the other side. And it's got a lock, so unlock it first. Okay, so that's going to sit there. I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals, which hopefully I have some here. Righty, I need one more. A few more dimensionals than I normally do. I'll slide this down. Now, you can see this pattern isn't straight, so don't try and make it straight with your punch. It's meant to be crooked. It's meant to be have that hand painted look. And I've got some little bow here. And Felicity will know where this bow came from because it's recycled. It came from a gift last week. So I tie an easy bow. All the work is after you tie it. I use rabbit ears. I know. Now, whilst this is a masculine card, it doesn't mean that we can't add a little bit of bling. Maybe we don't want a lot of bling, but a little bit of bling. Now, normally I would take the bow here, but this foil bow, or I don't know what you'd call it, it's a little hard. It doesn't pick up the mini glue dots. All right, so let's stick this down. I can always trim it up a little bit. And then I had these online exclusives from earlier in the year, which I thought were nice masculine colours. So let's put a couple of those on. I'm trying to use up big ones because I always end up with the big ones. Where will I put this? Maybe there. There. Whatever appeals to you. Throw this one up here again. Rightio. So that's the front of the card. Now, how quick and easy was it? Now I need some basic white to go on the inside. I must have basic white insert is exactly the same, so you can understand how easy this is to cut out. It's exactly the same as this piece here. So it's 3 7/8 by 3 inches. Let's cut that down. You'll hear great fall of 3 7/8 by 3 inches. May not. Didn't think I'd cut it wide enough. Anyway, 3 7/8. That's right. Where did I get that green ink from? See, you can guarantee there's green ink somewhere on my desk. Oops, sorry. Okay. I've somehow got this crooked. Here we go. So we're going to put this in here. Now it hides under this strip, so that's why I've picked that size when I designed this card. But before I do that, let's do what smart people do, or smart stampers do. They stamp before they stick it down, just in case a disaster happens. So I'm using cherry cobbler, if I can find some. Cherry cobbler, here it is. Just get rid of these out of the way. So The inside of the card says Merry Christmas, and I put a little leaf pattern on it just to add a little bit of interest. You can pick your own stamps for what works for you. Now, on the card that I did before, to add a bit of interest, I did the Mossy Meadow. Just going to find that Mossy Meadow ink pad again. For the Christmas, which means if you connect them like this, I think they look a little nicer. Then I want those leaves. So let's just down in the corner. Righto. So really, the card number 2 took me about, including the cutout, took me about less than 50, well, just over 10 minutes. So that's how quick and easy these cards are. And you kind of get into a routine using those measurements. You don't have to stop and think and redesign. Let's get rid of these. So there's card number 2. I know, so we've done 2 cards. Still got this piece left over. So let's do number 3. So number 3 is different again. This time I've used Secret C on the card base. I've got a basic white flip up, so that's all one piece, basic white, and I've still kept those strips. So let's get going. So again, I'm using make a bit of space here again. So again, I'm using a standard card base, 5.5 inches by 4 1/8. So grab my trimmer, 5.5 inches, and I'm sorry, 5.5 inches by 8 1/4. Did I say it should be 5.5 inches by 8 1/4 and scored at 4 1/8? Sorry about that. Hopefully you're not having trouble keeping up. Think I will make both now while they're fresh in my mind. Marianne says, well, wait till you see number 3. I think you're going to watch. You're going to want to make it as well, because it's also simple. The 3 cards are so simple. So I'm going to score this one and then use the bone folder to do that score line. That's nice and neat. Again, I'm cutting that cut line at 1 1/8. So just up to the score line. This part doesn't change on any of the cards. That the cuts, what you do afterwards does. And this one I did a little different. I wanted to keep it, designed it so that it would be similar to the other cards. So this time I'm going to glue these down. So let's just put some glue on there. Whoop. We do want that to be straight. Same here. Probably would take a little more care if I wasn't live. So now these 2 side pieces have been adhered to the card base. Now I'm going to, where's my card? Now I actually cut that off again because I don't need this piece. So let's remove it, because I'm going to basically replace that with the basic white. Now I must have some basic white here somewhere, I hope. So I've got a spare piece of basic white. Now my basic white, where's my pieces? Where's my measurements? They're here somewhere. I don't know. Oh, I've already cut the basic white. So let's pull out what we've got here and you'll see what I'm doing. I know. So my basic white is going to glue in here and fold over is 3 1/4 wide. That's 3 1/4. Let's check it. 3 1/4 by 7 3/4. To get the 7 3/4, I'll have to open up the trimmer and just cut a little bit off. Now, to be honest, I could have worked out what half of 7 3/4 is, but to be honest, couldn't be bothered. So what I'm going to do, this one, where's a decent bone folder? So I'm just going to put the two corners together, hold it, and then put the fold line. And you will see that this is just, ooh, what has happened here? Let's just check my measurements. Maybe I've got them wrong. So this should be, where's my ruler? So this should be 3 1/4. Oh, I know, because it sits right up there. I'm losing the plot. Okay, so this time I'm going to be using this, which is one of the 4x3 cards. You can use whatever designer series paper that you like, but I'm just cutting 2 side strips off because I want it to go down the side. And remember, I've still got to cut off that little 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to do each side here. Wait a minute, where are you? So 7/8 of an inch. Hopefully you can see this. Here's one. Then I'm going to spin it around because it gives me a little bit of, so both strips are similar. They're not the same, but they're similar. Now this I'm going to use again. So I want to cut off this to 3 7/8. Now, all I have to do is stick these down. Here's my green glue. You can see I love green glue, only because it gives me that little bit of wiggle room, especially when I'm doing lives. If I make a mistake, I can pick it up again. Now I'm going to put the Secret C colour on the outside. Now remember, these are stuck down, so they're not going to pop up. I know. So now I have this piece here. Remember, this was my 7 3/4 by 3 1/4, and it just sneaks in there. All right. Yeah, just, I know, it's right. So I can stick that down, but I'm not going to stick it down until I add the stamp, which is a retired stamp, but it's one of my favorites. Every Christmas it comes out, and you'll see why. It's got this beautiful sentiment on it, and it comes from a retired stamp set from quite a few years ago, The Greatest Part of Christmas, and I can't get rid of it. But there's nothing wrong with using retired stock. It just means I'm teasing you because you won't be able to get it. So let's stamp this down. So I've done that in Secret C ink. Now, remember this little piece here? Remember, it's 3 1/4 inches across, so I'm going to trim this down. And this can be either as a piece of decoration, or it can slide in, which mine will be able to do this, slide a gift card in. So it's just another way of adding, if you've got a gift card, it's nice to put it with a card. So we can put that there. Now I'm going to be using some of my double-sided tape. I'll put my double-sided tape across here. Now, it's not called tear and tape for nothing. And then I'll put the sides on this. Just makes it a bit easier. I don't have to be as careful with getting it to size. And if that doesn't pick up, you can do what I nearly always do, which is just burnish it. Picks it up a lot easier. So you can guarantee once I do that, it doesn't pick up from the sides. Very easy. Whoops. Oh, so I'm going to put it like this and make sure it doesn't go over that fold. Now, I don't have a gift card here, but you can see it just sits in there. Now, it has to sit in this way, so portrait won't go on landscape with such a small card. Now, I can now stick this down because I've got enough confidence. I've done my stamping. I think I'm running out of glue here. Who else puts a swirl in the center like that? I know. I just didn't line that up very well. I was busy reading comments at the same time. Well, and we know we can't do two things at once. I don't. Then I'm just going to add this layer here. And again, I've got to cut this down just to get it to the right size. Now, you can see it's too tall this way, and I need it the same border all the way around. So I cut it down to 3 5/8. Now, if you're cutting just some designer series paper, you just need a sheet 3 inches by 3 5/8. For me, I've got to cut it down just a bit. So I don't need these. So now I have to make sure I'm up to 3 5/8. I've just got to cut a little bit off the bottom. How easy is it to have a sentiment already on the front? Where's my adhesive? Here it is, hiding under here. Once I do this, I will have finished 3 cards, all a different design. Well, kind of all a different design. Here we go. I'm going to put that down there. And I've got some little red berries to add. Now, these are also from my retired stash. Now, see this little spot here? It's supposed to be here. I'll show you. But I don't like it. So I'm going to hide it. I hit it on the first one. And then I'm just going to scatter a few around. Just to add a bit of bling. Bit of Christmas cheer. Oh, didn't mean to do that. That's where it's going to stick. And we'll put one here. Out here. And now I need one over there. And then, this could keep going forever. There we go. So that's that card. And that took probably 12 minutes. So how quick and easy are these cards? Don't have to be complex. And I'll show you the cards back again. So now this one, see how it's sitting up a little bit? I am going to have to just do a bit of adding a bit more crease to that score line. Okay, so we have 3 cards. So who's surprised by how easy those cards were? Now I've now put them back in the order they were made. Card 1, card 2, card 3. Which card's your favourite? And Marianne, are you going to make the 3rd card now? Because you see how simple it actually was. And if you don't want to have a gift card here, you could trim it back down or leave it out altogether. So which one do you like? I'll wait for some answers. And while I wait for some answers, I'll just remind you, I'm still looking for some people, some locals to help me out. So we make these gorgeous cards for Meals on Wheels. Don't also forget, I think I need the memory. They are fabulous for for masculine cards. And 54 cards is pretty good value. Don't forget our starter kit offer to the end of October. So you've only got only a few days left, and just over a week. And then we also have the free shipping. So Felicity, perfect for free shipping. Just add a couple more items, and then you get these with free shipping. Oh yeah, you're right. I will now have to make that one too. I'm glad, because they look how nice they are. You could just give them to somebody and they would love them. Or how hard is it to do really masculine Christmas cards? And I think these are really masculine. They're not kind of feminine, maybe a little masculine. They start off with those really great earthy colours and patterns. So, which card do you like? Hopefully you're going to make these cards. And yes, you may need the memories and more cards, but you don't have to. You've got a stash. And these cards are perfect for your stash as well. So I haven't got anyone ready to nominate, so I'm going to close off. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. And I missed you last week when I was at Pretty Woman. It's a good show, but I'm glad to be back this week. So thanks, everybody. I will see you next Wednesday night, and thank you for joining me. I'm glad you like the cards, and I would love to see what you actually make with them and see what you do with them. So thanks, everybody. Bye for now.